What's going on, Spurs fans? I am the masked Spurs Nation 87, and we got a familiar face here, all the way from Corpus Christi, Texas. He's been on a few of my videos, and y'all know him best well as TTSD. TomTheSpursDude. What's going on, Tom? How you
Going
doing,
on,
brother?
man? What's going on? Real good, real good.
All right. Hey, man, we're going to get into game two right now, but let's get into some stats real quick, and then we'll get into the recap of how this game went down. All right, so you've got four Spurs players in double figures, and one of them who was the MVP in this game was Duncan with 28 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block shot. The Claw, Kawhi Leonard, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. And then you've got Boris Diaw. What do you call Boris Diaw, Thomas?
The Land Wars, the
The
big croissant, smothered in butter.
12 points, 9 rebounds, almost double-double, but hey, good performance by him. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals, and a block shot. And then you've got the Tasmanian Devil, the Australian Mamba, Patty Mills,
Good day, mate.
with 18 points, 3 rebounds, assist, and 1 steal. And your score of Game 2 of the 2015 NBA Western Conference quarterfinals, the defending NBA champs San Antonio Spurs 111, LA Clippers 107. Now, Thomas, I'm going to get your take on this, man. How in the beginning, how did this turn out? How well did this turn out from the first half all the way to the end?
Well, the Spurs came in and they took care of business right away. They knew that they were not going to play around with the Los Angeles Clippers. And going back to what Tim Duncan said in his post-game interview from Game 1, Tim Duncan said this: the Spurs were rusty. They were off 4 game days, and they were just rusty. Game 1, it showed in LA that they just needed to knock off that rust. By Game 2, they improved, and they were able to steal home court. But by Game 3, all bets were off. The San Antonio Spurs showed up and they pretty much put a whooping on the Los Angeles Clippers. From start to finish, they did not let up. This was a game that reminded me so much of last year's NBA Finals where the Spurs took control after, game, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They just dominated the Miami Heat. This is what the Spurs are looking to do with the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. They have the same mindset. They have the same goal. And, just looking at the way Tim Duncan was playing against DeAndre Jordan, against Glenn Baby Big Davis, and everyone that was going up against him, it didn't matter. He was just dominating. But Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, he makes so much of a difference on this team. He's the biggest impact player that the Spurs have because he makes things happen on not just the offensive end but the defensive end. And a lot of people don't realize this about Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people question Kawhi Leonard. Well, why did it take so long for him to score 30 points? Why doesn't he always score like this for the Spurs all the time? You have to remember, Kawhi Leonard is a defensive player first, a defensive perimeter player first, and an offensive player second. So whenever he's scoring for you, it's even a bonus to what he's doing defensively on the floor.
Exactly.
It's not he's not a score first type player. He's a play defense, get stops, get steals, play the passing lanes, and then scores in transition off those steals, and it leads to easy points for other players. The alley oop from Danny Green at the 3-point line to Kawhi Leonard last night was phenomenal, all in itself. The one-handed slam dunk from Kawhi just got everybody, including myself, off our feet. Whether you were at the AT&T Center or whether you were watching it at home or wherever, that play was spectacular. And Kawhi Leonard raised a lot of eyebrows on that play. And this goes to show that you don't have to be the Clippers to throw lobs. Like, are they the only team that thinks that they can do this? No. You know, the Spurs are better than the Clippers. The Clippers are a bunch of floppers. And Chris Paul was flopping all night. He's going to do it again and again and again. But Blake Griffin, sorry to tell you, sir, but you're not one of the – you don't have post moves, okay? You can't even post up Boris Diaw, the big croissant. You can't even post up Boris Bobo. And every time he tries to post someone else up, he fails miserably because he doesn't have the fundamental skills. Now, yeah, Blake Griffin has some mid-range jumpers. I'll give him that. But as far as everything else goes, besides his alley-oops and dunks, he's just overhyped. I wish all these people would stop overhyping the Clippers. The Clippers I have at home to give myself a haircut are better than the LA Clippers. They went from Lob City to Sob City real damn quick.
Yeah, and you know what, man, in that game 2 with the Clippers, you know, there was really nothing to say about the game. I mean, they looked a lot more better in game 1 than they ever did before, you know, because it's true. You know, Tim Duncan did say that, you know, with all the days they had off, they were just rusty, you know, they were out of rhythm, they just couldn't get anything going. And it's true, when you're out for so many days, Tom, when you're out for so many days, you gotta get, you know, you have a lot of rust and you gotta knock all that rust off just to get yourself back in rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So even though in that game 2 they didn't completely blow the Clippers out and they went into the overtime, thanks to Patty Mills. Thanks to Patty Mills.
Patty Mills was awesome. Listen, Patty Mills is the energy guy for the Spurs. Anytime he's contributing off the bench for Tony Parker, him and Corey Joseph, when they're contributing, the Spurs become unbeatable because there's no answer for those guys, especially Patty Mills. Good day, mate. Good day, mate. Good day, mate. Because if you didn't hear me once or twice, I got to say it 3 more times. Good day, good day, good day. That's how good Patty Mills was. That's how good he's continued to be for the Spurs. And the way he locked down Chris Paul, the way they defended Chris Paul, you know, it took the Clippers out of their offensive rhythm. And what do we talk about all the time with the Clippers? If you take Chris Paul out the game, you take the entire Clipper team out of the game.
Exactly what we've been talking about. I ain't even said that.
You limit Chris Paul, you limit lobs. You limit lobs, you limit points for Blake Griffin. You limit points for Blake Griffin, he looks like a freaking bulldog that got put in the doghouse.
Oh man, and yeah, in that game, yeah, and also in the game 2 series, on the game 2, I mean, he still managed to, you know, throw, you know, 21 points, you know, but at least in the first game, at least he didn't get his 30 points because that's where he just completely killed us, you know. And then Griffin was still managed to get 29 points, you know, but even with all those points that them two scored, it still was not enough. It still was not enough to beat the Spurs in that game 2. And their strategy was pretty much what the smart strategy was when they hacked DeAndre Jordan pretty much most of the game, you know, just so that way they could get themselves like in a rhythm. Back in a rhythm.
Just to get the ball back.
Yeah, just to get the ball and, you know, do what they got to do, you know. So in that game 2, you know, like I said, even though it wasn't a blowout, I mean, it was still a good game. It was a hard-fought battle between both tough West teams. And like I said, I don't like the Clippers, but hey, they play the Spurs tough. But when the Spurs are healthy and they're at their very best, playing damn good Spurs basketball, is when you need to be scared. That's when you need to be scared of the Spurs, because when they're healthy and they're playing that fundamental basketball, that's when you should be worried.
And when they're playing like this guy shows up out of nowhere. So
that's true.
You know, this guy shows up out of nowhere. And real quick before we get to our next topic. Larry, what is it about San Antonio that you like the most? What is it about us that you... Alamo City. Okay.
Thank you, Larry. That was the special guest too, Larry, the fifth, and you're gonna meet Larry sixth pretty soon. All right, Thomas. Well, it's time to end it. But we're gonna get into our game 3 video. We will see y'all guys as soon as possible. Until then, go Spurs, go!